Welcome to another episode of Not Your Average Lives, where I highlight inspirational stories of midlife transformations. Today's guest is Andrea Caprio, whose midlife transformation began in her late 40s when concerns about her health became a priority. Through lots of research and trial and error, she discovered her food choices were the root of her issues. As a result, she became fascinated in nutrition, which ultimately led her to leave her career as an executive recruiter and get certified as a master transformational nutrition coach. Now at age 53, she has forged a new path based on her own personal struggles, and in doing so has found work that is extremely more satisfying and impactful. I am here today with Andrea Caprio, and Andrea is a master transformational nutrition coach. That's a mouthful. And I am really excited to have Andrea here today because she is just another example of a person who transformed her life just by kind of being unhappy and taking action on it when she was nearing 50. So Andrea's 53, and she said about 4 years ago, we had a pre-interview. So she was filling me in on her journey, and I'll let her take over. But she has lived all over the world, and currently she's living in Portugal, and she's German. So I'm assuming you speak like 3 languages because you said French, German, English, Portuguese, right? Probably, right?
Yeah, I'm learning. Hi, Laurie, and hi, everybody here. Thanks so much for having me. Yes, it is. The languages are definitely, and I think I haven't finished learning them. I'm trying to get a grasp on Portuguese. It's a very, very difficult language. So, and the thing is, we might actually be moving to Italy. So I might have to learn Italian after all. Obviously, my husband is Italian. And yes, I do speak French, equal to my English. My ex-husband is French, so I'm moving with the languages plus moving in between as well. So yes, I've had a lot of changes in my life, and I think I'm definitely not at the end of changes, but I'm embracing them, and it's not easy. Sometimes I'm wondering why I'm doing it, but definitely one of the biggest changes besides moving continents several times is becoming a transformational nutrition coach, indeed.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and you had said, and this happens with a lot of people, especially the ones that are transforming at midlife, is they kind of stumble into it through their own personal journey. And Andrea explained that, like me, she was more in the corporate space. You had your own business as an executive recruiter. So you had your own company. I worked for somebody else in the corporate world. But that's a totally different thing than being your own, being involved in nutrition and in that way, shape and form. Although I guess you had your own business, so that you weren't as afraid of starting your own business. But you talked about how, you weren't feeling good, and how you recognized that nutrition was kind of the key to changing all that. And what I think is interesting is so many people think that they're eating healthy, and they're really not. So did you think you were eating healthy?
Absolutely. I was definitely thinking, I'm doing like more or less the Mediterranean diet, which is a healthy diet, to be fair. But I realized at one stage I was eating far more sugar than I thought I would. I somehow added it up, and there was, 2 teaspoons in my coffee, and then another 2 teaspoons in my tea. And then there were the croissants, and there were the granola, the granola muesli. That's so healthy, but there was sugar there as well. Because what very often, and today obviously I'm teaching that to my clients because now I learned it, is we are not aware actually of where the sugar hides and all the unhealthy stuff. But sugar, I'm definitely at war with sugar. I'm actually just did a video for myself, and I wrote a blog post again around it. Sugar is such a thing it's highly addictive. It's hidden kind of everywhere. A lot of food producers put it in their food because nowadays a lot of this low fat diet, they have somehow to replace something for the flavor. Otherwise things don't taste for the average person. So there's so much added sugar. So if you look at all this and you add it up when you eat a lot of processed foods, you add up, having like I don't know, easily 50 grams of sugar a day.
Mm-hmm.
It goes very quickly. And if you add that up, it's definitely not a healthy thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what happened for me. And then, I did a cleanse. I mentioned to you earlier, but I want to share it because it was really profound for me. I did a cleanse before becoming a nutrition coach. And that actually was, the factor that made me study, because I wanted to help other people. So I did this 3 weeks cleanse, and I lost not only weight, but I also, I had acne. So my skin cleared up. I was always tired. I suddenly had boundless energy. It was like really day and night. I had digestive issues that disappeared, and all these kind of things. I had fibroids. I mentioned that earlier, and I never had fibroid issues any after. So all this just by changing the nutrition. And when I realized that, I started becoming curious, and I was not so happy in my old business. So I started studying transformational nutrition. I decided on that because I also believe it's not only the nutrition, but it's, a whole holistic approach. And
Right.
that's so important for me, personalized and holistic approach.
So when you did your 21-day cleanse, because I did a 21-day cleanse, because we were talking earlier, and I started as a health and fitness coach and have
Yeah.
moved into the whole life coaching. But so one of the things when in the 21-day, and I thought I was eating really, really healthy. And there's a detox period that happens when you go through a cleanse. And I was really shocked because the first couple of days were fine. And then like the third, fourth, fifth day, I got the worst lower backache. I mean, I was like, I was aching and hurting, and I didn't relate the two. And it was
Yeah.
so funny because I sat down. It was probably like the third morning. So I had this backache for like 2 days in a row, and I pulled out the documentation for the cleanse, and I was reading about the detox period, and it says it sets in and then it goes away, but your body is ridding itself of all those toxins. And I thought that was crazy because, and that's why I asked, because I think so many people think, oh, I'm eating healthy. And here I was, a health and fitness coach, and clearly my body was like enjoying this like super healthy food. It was like these soups made from scratch, and miso soup was a big thing with the
Oh,
seaweed. I mean, I learned how to make that myself. But yeah, so that's so interesting. When you did the 21-day cleanse, did you have a detox period?
I definitely, and still funny enough, still today, I do a cleanse 2, 3, 4 times a year, depending. And that's also what, example, for me, whenever I stop coffee, I definitely get headaches. And I'm at the moment doing sort of a semi-cleanse, but I'm leaving coffee out, and also my glass of wine in the evening. And the coffee for me is each time. I mean, on sugar and all that, I have hardly any sugar nowadays. I mean, only when really I cannot avoid, when you're out or something. And I take it easy as well. I believe eventually you should live like 90-10, 90% you live clean, and then 10% is absolutely fine once you go over the initial cleansing period.
Yeah.
But going back to the cleanse, definitely you have those detox symptoms, but you can make them a little bit easier. It depends what kind of detox you're doing as well. I'm really very much into having a 3-phase detox. That's very important
Yes, it
to
was
really
2
get
phases. Yeah.
rid of toxins in a good way, because otherwise it can actually be dangerous and can end up as
Right.
free radicals in your body when you don't do it in the right way. And I'm sure you know.
Yeah.
But also, by drinking teas or water, for example, or doing breathing exercise. There are a lot of things you can actually do to help with that,
Right.
and you can have less symptoms. So it's
Oh,
not so bad.
and back to the sugar thing. So I have a husband who is I call him a sugaraholic. And he usually, people don't read the labels.
Mhm.
So,
Exactly. Yeah.
and the marketing is really clever on the packaging, because he'll come home and he'll be like, look, it says low
No sugar.
sugar, and
No.
it's 16 grams of sugar instead of 21 grams of sugar, but it still has a heck of a lot of sugar in there. And so I know reading labels can be overwhelming for some people, but just looking at, and I don't know if you teach people this, you probably, I'm sure, do, but looking to make sure it's high glycemic or low glycemic, and it's fiber content versus sugar. And so if the fiber is higher, then the sugar can come up a little bit, but it's
Yeah.
that ratio. If you have 0 fiber and you have 16 grams of sugar, you're basically having a sugar snack, you're not, and the fiber also keeps you where sugar is kind of a spike of energy. The fiber is longer lasting. So that was a lot of interesting stuff that I learned that I had no idea of, that kind of, everybody thinks sugar is so bad, but sugar is okay as long as it's balanced correctly. So.
Yeah, I agree fully. And I go even further than that. And I'm sure you agree on that too, is, sorry, I actually realize I have the sun shining here. So
That's
looks so
okay.
funny.
People are just listening to this. They won't even know.
So the thing is that it's also super important to have it with enough protein and healthy fats as well. And for me, I'm very much about blood sugar, because blood sugar is really a lot of people have issue with that, and it's usually the precursor to more serious illnesses like diabetes or so. Also involved in hormones and inflammation. And with having enough protein and healthy fat together with eventually any sugar, like even fruits, I mean, fruits in the end, they're sugar, you can definitely kind of balance it out as well. So I would
Yeah,
always
and you know
recommend
what my
that.
husband drinks a lot of, and I hope he doesn't come down and hear me talking about him behind his back, but he drinks a lot of fruit juices, which have a lot
Hmm.
of sugar in
Yeah,
them.
and they don't have fiber in, right?
Yes, yes, and so that's another thing. But anyways, this is getting highly technical, but one of the things I think the listeners would be really interested in is what was going through your mind when you were this executive recruiter, that you said in the pre-interview that you were feeling unhappy.
Hmm.
And, I call it kind of when you start to feel like humdrum, it's humdrum. It's like there's no passion left anymore in
Yeah.
what you're doing. And I think we all go where something maybe was passionate in the past. We've grown out of that. I think we all as humans need challenges in our life, and so, and also we want to serve in a way, where like what we're doing is providing value to other people. So I imagine you were going through something where you just didn't feel like you were passionate and what you were doing really mattered anymore. So can you kind of describe your emotions? And the other thing that I love to talk about is, you know, access to education. So like a lot of people don't take that step because they're like, I don't know where to begin. So
Yeah.
tell me how that transition happened emotionally and actual steps.
Hmm. Yeah, it's a great question, Laurie. The thing how was that, I realized how much with that nutrition time when I had moved just shortly before I had moved from South Africa to Miami, and I saw how the people in America, how badly they were eating. So I know I was eating already much better even pre being a nutrition coach, but I realized really that this epidemic in America with the eating, a lot of people are overweight and have obviously as a result health issues, minor or major. And this whole society, how it is in America or in many places in America. And I kind of really wanted to help other people, because I realized suddenly how it influenced my own life. So that
Mhm.
was somehow reaching that point in my life where, I always want to give something to people. Before it was about connecting the right people, but probably it became for me
Mhm.
something to educate people to be able to have a healthy lifestyle for the rest of their lives. That still today is for me super important. I want to give that people are able to listen to their own bodies, that they believe they can achieve it. Most clients that come and see me, they've tried diet over diet over diet, but they've not really tapped into their inner self. There's so many different things. So it was really about helping people to get there,
Yeah.
because I find the system is broken,
Yeah.
and not only in America, of course, but it was at that time, when I was there.
And that's exactly how I call it, kind of accidental entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Is that you find something that works for you and you just want to share it with
Yeah.
everybody. And
Yeah, I think in the nutrition space, and I mean, you came there as well, it's
yeah,
very often that we come through our own story
right.
or experience. We come into there and then we want, to expand. And today I'm even at a stage, I want to go already in my mind. I'm already a step further,
Yeah.
I want to help more people and so on. So I have obviously a progression here I'm working towards. Because I think there's so much more out there than just, I mean, doctors are great, but nutrition, it's simple
Yeah.
actually. It's so simple, but people need the education there.
Yeah. I
So I
have a
really
friend
enjoy that.
and she's in her 40s and she got into like um, competing. So she was
Mhm.
a bikini competing in her
Yeah.
40s, and she had this dynamite body. She was like so proud of herself for getting this body, and then her hair started falling out. And so she was doing this extreme dieting for the competitions.
Hmm.
And you think, oh, weight loss equals health, you know, good body. She's really healthy.
Yeah.
No. And so there's so much to good nutrition and educating ourselves. So I think it's real. And sometimes I think I get like super overwhelmed. It's like, I'd rather have somebody teach it to me, than go read a bunch of books about it. So, anyways,
Yeah.
you found a place that could teach you and you could get certified. So was it online or did you go to a building and like the traditional
No.
school
All
type of
online, which initially I checked out a couple of places. So I compared about 60 different universities or schools or so on, or certifications, to find one. And I was really, really happy with the Institute of Transformational Nutrition and became a certified transformational nutrition coach. And what I liked really is, what was important for me is really having this holistic and personalized way of helping people to eat healthier and live healthier, because it goes all together. It's stress management, it's sleep, it's exercise, it's eating, it's your psychological health, your emotional health, your spiritual health. So all these ideas were really, really important for me to incorporate that. And I wanted also to have a proper education. Now, I didn't have so much education. I didn't study when I was young, but
Mhm.
now at my age, like almost 50, I started studying actually. And I was like, wow, I was always very much about practical, application instead of learning. But what I did is the teaching there was really interesting. And since that time, I haven't stopped studying. I
Mm.
mean, I after did other courses, I specialized. I have my master program done. So I specialized in digestive health and hormonal health and on plenty of other things, because I got so thirsty about that learning. So I also really believe, and that's perhaps, what we're talking about.
Mhm.
At 50, you can still learn something completely new. It's definitely not too late. And if you make it for business or you make it for your personal gain, just as personal interest, just go for it.
Yeah, I think you said you saw an ad on you were on your computer.
Initially, I saw somebody posted something on my Facebook about a nutrition school. It was not the one I signed up for,
Yeah.
because the one I signed up for was really much better.
Yeah.
Um, but that was actually how, it's how it is. It's something, and I say, hey, okay,
Yeah.
that's a good idea.
Well, I like to say that's the whisper from the universe, right?
It is, of
Mhm.
course,
Yeah.
or of
Yeah.
our artificial intelligence, aka
Yeah.
Google and Facebook and all
Yeah.
that.
That's awesome. All right. So one thing that you mentioned in the pre-interview that hasn't been brought up, but I heard it and I wanted to bring it up because I don't think people really know what it is, but I think it's really important because I just recently had an experience where I had, and I didn't share this on the pre-interview, but I had a really bad stomach issue.
Hmm.
And it started in March after my grandkids visited, and they had the flu. They both, two out of the the four. Well, actually, the fourth one wasn't born yet, so there was three of them here, and two got the flu, and so they were throwing up, both ends, kind of thing, and then they left, and about 5 days later, I just had this horrible stomach intestinal thing happen, but it wasn't. I never got sick. So I said, well, I don't have what they have. This is just something going on. I don't know what it is. And I think I traveled and I didn't know, you know, what was going on. I thought, sometimes your stomach gets upset when you're traveling and you're not in your normal surroundings. So that led to 3 different doctor's appointments where they couldn't get to the bottom of it. Then being put on a antacid medicine,
Yeah.
which was I had to like wean myself off of. But, I was on it for, I think, a total of like 10 weeks. But and I got a little better, but it was still not. And it was almost like I had aliens in my stomach, because that's the best way to describe it. I felt like something was, and I never have stomach problems. I don't, if I have problems, it's usually like more intestinal, like constipation or something like that. And so, but this was upper, I was not having acid reflux, which kind of bothered me that they put me on that medicine, but not knowing any better. And I should have known better, but the word you had said in the pre-interview is functional medicine. And so our doctors today don't have a holistic approach to medicine, because they're taught about pharmacies who have medicine, and pharmacies make money and they give the medicine to the doctors, and the doctors make money because I don't know how all that works on the back end. But I just really believe that we are kind of a society run by the pharmaceutical companies. And so I went ahead and it was so funny, because I had an interview, one of my past episodes was with Ricky Heller, who is a Candida coach. And I was experiencing these stomach issues when I interviewed her, but I never told her that I was, because I didn't relate it to, and Candida is a type of yeast. And so what happened is I ended up getting a book and reading a book and finding out, and I was going to do a 3-day cleanse. And it said, before you do the cleanse, do this test to see if you might have yeast overgrowth. And it was a real simple test, which I did. And you eat 3 things: chocolate, wine, and balsamic vinegar, which is kind of like, I'm like, sure, I can do that. I like all those things. And then in the next morning, if your tongue is coated white, then you might be suffering from yeast overgrowth. And darn if that wasn't it. And they said, okay, for 7 days, take a probiotic, which I did. And my stomach, and in the meantime, I Googled and found a functional doctor of gastro issues in my community. And of course, insurance doesn't cover that. So that's another hurdle. But I basically solved my own problem before I ended up but that was my next step, was to go find somebody who could holistically, through herbs or whatever, figure out what was going on with my stomach. And so in hindsight, and my doctor had told me this, what happened is my stomach, I got the germs my grandkids had, but it just manifested itself differently in my body. And so the yeast, and you probably can tell me this, because you probably, have more, you have more training on it, but it's kind of like, the yeast kind of protect you have bacteria in your stomach, but it usually helps you, but it can overgrow itself. And I think the overgrowth is caused by, it's more of a protection mechanism, and then it kind of goes crazy. But the probiotic has basically that simple little bottle of probiotics in 1 week solved my stomach problem that was happening for 6 months. Isn't that crazy?
It is. And I'm passionate about everything digestive system, and I have to restrain myself not to go all in, but it is, yes.
Functional medicine is, and that's one of the things you said attracted you to the program that you're in.
It is, yes. It's look, the program I've done has, it's not a functional nutrition program per se, but it's a lot about root causes along the functional nutrition perspective. And I've done another program which is full on functional nutrition as a digestive specialist. Yeah. So on that side, I'm really full on functional, and I believe, it's all about root causes and finding out, what it is. Like for you, the yeast, definitely something just to look, and suddenly it disappeared. And I see it when I work with my clients, they sometimes had symptoms. I mean, I had one of my clients in my group coaching program. She had, issues with her bowel movements for her whole life. She's been
Mm-hmm.
to doctors after doctors, nobody was, and same thing, like you said, she was given the acid reflux tablets and whatever, I mean, basically, to stop the stomach acid, which is wrong, because when you stop the stomach acid, you cannot digest anymore. And most people, by the way, who have acid reflux or GERD or whatever, and they take these tablets, don't have too much stomach acid, but not enough. So when you put on a stomach acid blocker, then it's even less, and then the whole digestive system breaks down, because
Right.
if you don't digest your food in your stomach, then after that, you get the non-digested food into your small intestines and so on. And that's how you develop leaky gut. That's how you develop things like candida and so on and so on. Well, it's definitely all working together. And that's, yes, probiotic is obviously a huge amount, but often it starts, from the top to the bottom.
Yeah, I
So
used to have a big problem with constipation.
Yeah.
My
And
mother was always constipated.
yeah. And to
So,
go back to my client, so she started losing weight. She really worked well, the program. She felt so much better. And then suddenly she told me, Andrea, I didn't realize I don't have any more in my bowel movement problems. She didn't want to talk so much about it, but never mind that. And she just realized that it was normal suddenly. And she didn't realize that it was not normal before, really.
Yeah. Well, I think sometimes we think we inherit things from our parents, but so I just thought, oh, my mom, she, it's just something that, is I inherited it. Well, you know what I inherited? Her bad nutrition. So
Sure. And I love saying to my clients, sorry.
She was anorexic, so she did,
Oh,
she didn't eat, so that was her problem.
yeah. But I always say, genetics load the gun, and the environment, what you eat, pull the trigger. So you have really a lot of control over what shows out. So, whatever genetics, if it's cardiovascular issues or whatever might be running in your family, you can still prevent it.
Yeah.
With the right nutrition and the right lifestyle.
Yeah. That's why the poop emoji is my favorite emoji. All right. So what else do you want to, what do you want to leave with, and what do you want to share with people? How can they find you? This has been so interesting and so fascinating. I know you have a website, wellnessmethods.com.
Absolutely. So, but perhaps leaving, I mean, first of all, of course, the idea of our interview today is, when you have a dream, when you want something, I would say just do it. The universe is there, the universe has your back. So just go with it. I mean, obviously not, quit your job suddenly and go, which basically I've done because, I quit my ex company. But anyway, definitely, I think even at 50 or so, there's no problem to change jobs. I know people at 60 that do that even. So go with a dream. When you plan things, they can work.
Right.
In terms of maybe in way of what I believe in terms of nutrition and all that is, for me, it's really important to see that, you deserve to be healthy. And you can only really function well in your life if you're healthy, body, mind, soul. So in all those levels. I see very often in companies, for example, they spend a lot of money on training their employees. But if an employee is sick, if somebody is, let's say, obese or has some mental health issues or so, you can throw all the money in training these people. But you will not be able to perform. You will not be as productive when you're always tired. So if, from somebody, you kind of are stuck in a position, you're not moving forward because of some health issues or weight issues or so, just by simply addressing them, you move forward. And that's, I think, something I really would like to share and make clear that I think that is a big thing. That was for me a big thing. I was really stuck before. I had these headaches, I had no energy and all that. And just by changing my nutrition, that moved me forward eventually. And that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah. What's your, I just thought of this and I wanted to ask before we ended the call, but, and this is something I've been thinking, and and wanting to share, but I would love to have some examples of this. So coaching, I know that coaching has been invaluable to me over the past year. Hiring, I have actually 3 coaches right now.
Me too. Same thing.
I never invested in coaching before. So basically, I was 59 years old when I invested in a coach. And when the general population, I think, thinks, when they think coach, they think sports. They think, oh, well, he's an athlete or she's an athlete or she's in the Olympics. Of course, they have to have coaches because that's, they need to be pushed by a coach. But yet the population doesn't think about all areas of your life. Like, look at the areas of your life that you feel you want to up level or you want to grow in. And do you think you could get there faster with coach? Do you think you could get there faster with even a group of like-minded people? Because some programs are group coaching programs. I know you have a group coaching program. I do too. So, it's just, I would love to change the mindset, not only to inspire women our age to like grab life before it passes you by and do what you really love and get passionate about, but get help in the form of somebody who's been there and done that and knows and has the training and the guidance and all that. I mean, it's usually people are like, well, no, I'll do it myself. Oftentimes people say that, and it's like, okay, how much longer is it going to take you? Or they just don't want to spend the money because they're not looking at they're looking at the money as a deduction from their bank account instead of an investment in their future and themselves.
Agree.
So, to me, I feel like our age group has, because I think coaching is more of a 21st century thing. It's not necessarily something that, is it's like, the applications on our cell phone are like, I don't, I'm too old for that, so I think we just go to the place where, oh, well, I don't do coaches, that's for the Tiger Woods of the world or the, Tom Brady's of the world. But yeah, I mean, coaching, I think is, and we're both coaches. So I thought it was an important message to leave with is, Andrea has significant, clearly training in the nutrition space. And if you have a need for help in nutrition, why wouldn't you go there and get help?
Yeah.
I just thought that was important to say.
Thanks. Yeah, I fully agree on that one because of like you, I have several coaches. I have top level coaches. I invested, I don't know, several tens of thousands in coaches, and they have helped me. And it took me time, by the way, to get there. I mean, I definitely 5 years ago, I didn't have any coach. I had one or two, but very little. And, I hardly knew it existed. For me, it was always business or life coaches. But there are so many coaches, and you do get so faster, so much faster. I put all my energy in the education, and besides just the nutrition, I have done a lot of other courses and coaching. So today I can help people with productivity as well, because they get all that and they get it so much faster, basically served on a plate, on a silver plate, because I put everything together, and you do the same, I know.
Yeah.
And maybe just also to say, if people do want, Go ahead. So if people want to find out a little bit more, wellnessmethods.com is my website. I don't know if you want to share that. And I also am very happy to offer for anybody who listens a free session with me. So if you are interested, and I do that to your crowd, Laurie, is if you are interested in, if you go wellnessmethods.com/be free, then you get, to a form and all that, and you can, book time with me.
Great.
And like this, I'm very happy to help you. It's for free and give you on the action. I show you actually what is possible, because often we don't see what is possible.
Yeah. And I think everybody deserves a more energetic life, a more
Yeah.
No, you said your migraines you went from 1 week to none.
Weekly,
That's
more or less weekly migraines,
that's
weekly every 2 weeks to now 2 to 3 times a year, roughly. Yeah.
great. That's great.
Oh, it's amazing. The biggest for me probably is the energy I have. And I see it today, whenever I eat, normally I eat really balanced and, I believe in personalized nutrition. So it works for me. It might not work for somebody else,
Right.
but, I do the same for my clients, obviously. But when I eat the right way for me, I have the energy. But if I don't do that, then my energy is
I
down.
know, isn't it funny? That's why,
Crazy.
excuse me. But when I was doing the health and fitness coaching, I encourage people to not only write down, log their food, because then
Yeah.
you can measure, like, okay, super good.
Absolutely. And there's so many factors. I mean, at the moment, I'm into heart rate variability, which is very interesting, by the way. So
Yeah.
it's really plays a role, those little things. Sleep, for me, is one of the big things and all that. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah. And with Thanksgiving coming up, I think it's even more because, like, how many people eat a big Thanksgiving dinner and then, like, go home and crash? So there's a parallel there,
And feel
So,
bad for many days.
okay. So, anyways, I usually do a 3-day cleanse before Thanksgiving because then I'm like, yay, I don't have to worry. I'm just like gonna enjoy myself. Because
Yeah, I usually do before any holidays when I go away, I do a cleanse or something like
enjoy
that.
it, right?
Yeah.
I don't like, people I think, um, and that's why diets don't work, because they're they're restricting themselves.
Mm.
And then they think, oh, I'll restrict myself, I'll lose the weight, and then they go back. And it's not about restricting. It's like you said, moderation,
Yeah.
you know? So anyways, all right. Well, thanks so much. It was so great to have you. And it was
Thank
so great
you.
to hear about what you do and how you are doing what you love and in the process helping people
Mm.
feel better and have more energy. And, honestly, their families are happier because of it.
True.
So it has quite a ripple effect in
It
things.
has, yeah. Usually the husbands even also, are doing quite well, or the children.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I love about being a grandmother is that it's not just the next generation, it's the next generation.
Mm,
You're actually leaving a legacy
true.
to the next generations.
Yeah,
So
very
being
true.
a role model that we can be. So anyways, thank you, Andrea. I'm going
Thank you.
to end the broadcast.
Thank you so much.